Science communication builds a critical bridge between the complex world, scientific research, and the everyday lives of people around the globe. But why is science communication so important? It begins with understanding. All the scientific knowledge in the world means nothing if it isn't shared with peers, lawmakers, farmers, journalists, and school children, to name just a few. Let's ask a scientist who engages with different audiences on a daily level.
The importance of science communication is to clearly communicate so that the message that you are sending reaches its target audience. The importance is to make sure that when everybody leaves, they have a message. So for the same message, it's important to package it differently.
Grasping a scientific concept or aspects of one can help us make better informed decisions about our health, our environment, and our future. However, effective science communication isn't only aimed at the public understanding of science, it also informs decisions that shape our societies. That's why, as a scientist invested in innovation and change, understanding the art of science communication is crucial. But it is also a challenging process, and there isn't one size-fits-all way of going about it. So, how can we communicate science effectively?
It's an exchange. It's not just me telling them. I communicate probably the message that I want to, and then they'll have to give me feedback if this works in their context, and also if there is another way that they think would be best to implement whatever challenge that we want to solve.
Sharon is a scientist for the Run Rest project, which aims to improve food system resilience in cities in 4 different African municipalities. To accomplish this transdisciplinary project, communication and collaboration with local experts and practitioners is key. But how do you connect to different people?
So I think as a science communicator, it's also important to know yourself and also just to reflect on yourself and see which aspects of your character would work in your communication.
Science communication profits greatly from human connection, which is why, in the role of a science communicator, you should think about how your work might impact the life of individual people, and also about how you personally can connect to others.
Some scientists use humor, and this works for them. So as a student, it's important for you to know if using humor would work for you. For me personally, it doesn't. I have very dry humor and it never comes out nice.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Humor will probably help. Finding a common understanding on scientific topics can be hard. And sometimes the communication fails completely.
When I communicate, it's not just me telling the stakeholders or the farmers that I'm talking to, but I also listen to them. It doesn't always go smooth. Sometimes there are arguments, but you also need to pick which battles to fight and which battles to leave.
One thing that can help is to prepare your scientific content and the way you communicate it according to your specific target groups. That may start with something as simple as your outfit and the way you show your scientific content. Here's how Sharon tackles the challenge.
I think in science and communication, it's also important to know the level to which you are communicating. When I'm communicating with lab technicians, I know that it's transactional. It really ends with me giving them samples and them giving me results. They usually don't give much thought to the bigger perspective of the project, but more so just to the results of the samples. So I adjust the language for the farmers by trying to be as layman as possible. However, the challenge that we face is that sometimes it loses its scientific meaning. So this is why I always try to bring visuals which are easier to communicate with without losing the scientific message behind. they actually know a lot. I was naive in the beginning and thinking because I'm a scientist, I know so much. But through the communication that I've done over the years, I've realized that farmers actually know a lot. And the communication is a give and take. I've learned quite a lot. Return on investment, budget, co-financing. Yeah, I would say those are the most common terms that I use with entrepreneurs. So what has always worked for me is to go very prepared with my questions, and even with the solutions that we try to solve together, everything has to be quick. If you don't know certain terms, you have to research them before you go in there. Communicating with policymakers is a bit uncomfortable for me because it's beyond what I've trained for. What has worked, I think, is to bring them on board through the whole system, through the whole value chain, so that they can see the importance and appreciate it, and also to try and to bring different departments together so that they don't work individually in silos.
So, communicating with different audiences means finding the right language for each group of people. It means deciding what kind of information is shared, when, and in what way. To finish, let's recap what we've learned from Sharon as a scientist and a researcher in innovative projects. Science communication can be a must. It succeeds best when it operates from the bottom up rather than from the top down. And it depends on human connection. To achieve this, you may use humor or not. It's important that you listen to the other party and enter into a conversation with it. Each target audience may require information presented in a different way, and it helps to transform your scientific evidence so that it is understood. Visuals, especially, will be helpful. And most importantly, don't be discouraged. Even if you feel that some aspects of science communication are out of your league.
My advice to young scientists is that it's not impossible to talk to policymakers, and it's worth the time, it's worth the effort, and it's also something fulfilling because it's something that will change people's lives for a long time.